dumb. So dumb. Almost, I apologize for my country because we're so dumb. It's embarrassing. They know absolutely nothing about the history of India.
Donald Trump is a pendulum in global politics. He goes from warning Russia to praising Putin, protecting Netanyahu to calling out Israel, swinging from best friend Modi to behaving like he has been jilted. It is America's stance on India that seems to be the most confusing, and the White House makes it very apparent.
That's insane.
It all started with Peter Navarro, a controversial figure in economics, to say the least. An advisor to the US president, Navarro called Russia's invasion of Ukraine Modi's war.
I see that taking place. India doesn't appear to want to recognize its role in the bloodshed. It simply doesn't. It's cozying up to Xi Jinping. Is what it's doing. It's not act. And by the way, I wrote that article in the FT just to deal with the propaganda of the Indian government to make people want to feel sorry for them. Oh, they need the oil. They don't need the oil. It's a refining profiteering scheme. It's a laundromat for the Kremlin. That's the reality of that. So I love India. Look, Modi's a great leader, but please.
It didn't take the world very long to realize where Navarro had gone wrong. India has publicly named him and rejected his bizarre analysis.
We have seen the inaccurate and misleading statements made by Mr. Navarro, and obviously we reject them.
After all, this is the same United States of America that readily deals with Europeans who still depend on Russian energy. In fact, Russia was the sixth largest exporter to key US ally, Israel, in 2024. So saner voices within America itself were quick to call out Peter Navarro and his boss, Donald Trump.
Well, look, I don't know why anyone would take anything that Navarro says seriously. This is the guy that is alleged to have made up quotes in a book that he wrote. In defense of Modi, this is not Modi's war, this is Putin's war. Putin's war. So it's very strange to me that the United States has an official who is making remarks like that.
Now, Peter Navarro is an insult to wolf warrior Democrat, but he is an unserious person and ill-informed. And if the president's taking his advice, then he is ill-served. But I think he's being allowed to go on television and say these things as part of a public relations bullying campaign.
This visible confusion goes beyond Peter Navarro, though. Just days before Trump and Modi tweeted and confirmed that talks on a trade deal are ongoing, the White House economic advisor claimed the US president was disappointed with India.
The trade team and the president are disappointed that India continues to fund Russia's Ukraine war, and hopefully it's a diplomatic issue that will have positive developments soon.
That's insane.
Kevin Hassett's remarks were backed by Donald Trump the very next day. The statement was picked up by global media just as soon as language experts decoded what the businessman president was rambling about.
I don't think we have. I've been very disappointed that India would be buying so much oil, as you know, from Russia. And I let them know that. We put a very big tariff on India, 50% tariff, very high tariff. I get along very well with Modi, as you know. He's great. He was here a couple of months ago. In fact, we went to the Rose Garden and the grass was so soaking wet. It was such a terrible place to have a news conference. I said, well, let's use a beautiful white stone emblematic of the White House, okay? And it's been very well received. But we had a news conference on the grass. That was my last news conference I had on the grass because everybody sunk in. You probably sunk in. Every reporter out there, they ruined their shoes. We made that change. It's been a really well-received change.
That's insane.
The thing is, there seems to be more to this than what meets the eye. Trump's officials keep giving away the plans, though. Even as the so-called wolf warrior diplomat began howling against India, officials from the US Embassy in India made their goals pretty clear publicly.
Affordable, reliable, and available energy remains fundamental to the economic growth of both nations, including as we work to ensure that our energy resources can support our innovation, and in the case of United States, a resurgent manufacturing economy.
It is pretty clear the US wants to sell crude oil to India, but Russia is already fulfilling those needs and at much cheaper rates. So the question is, should a nation stop dealing with one warmonger to choose another warmonger? The confusion in America's India policy is clearly visible in the recent hearings to approve Sergio Gore, Trump's nominee for the role of ambassador to New Delhi.
Mr. Gore, India's purchase of Russian oil is a significant issue for our foreign policy interests. As our next ambassador to India, how do you view India's choice in light of U.S. tariffs and our strategic goals?
Thank you for the question, Senator. President Trump has been crystal clear on this. They must stop buying Russian oil. And I believe almost every single member of this committee has co-sponsored Senator Graham's legislation, which has proposed a 500% tariff on secondary purchase and reselling of Russian oil. The president has only imposed a 25% tariff, and he's fully encouraging also our European partners and others around the world to stop that. Our tariffs work if our partners around the world are on the same page. If we're unilaterally putting tariffs on someone, but they're able to buy the same oil and resell the same oil through China, through India, through Brazil, that's a problem. And so we fully intend on fixing that.
India is a vital counterweight to Communist China in the Indo-Pacific. So our relationship is very important. I'm concerned that India is a member of the BRICS organization alongside some of our biggest adversaries. So how are you going to deal with that?
Senator, I share those concerns with you. With that said, the Indians have been on our side on various issues within BRICS, including several individuals in BRICS, Brazil, China, have pushed for years to move away from the US dollar. India has been the stopgap for that. India is much more willing and open to engage with us than with some of those other individuals that are in BRICS.
India, as you know, is quite literally on the front line against Chinese expansion. The U.S. and India are both acutely threatened by Chinese expansionism. President Trump and Modi undeniably respect each other and have signaled again and again that the United States and India are natural allies. Nevertheless, our relationship with India is far from perfect. You've talked about that in several different ways today in your testimony in response to questions. I'd like to ask you to talk a little more specifically about how India views Chinese expansionism and aggression and what that means for U.S.-Indian relations.
Senator, thank you for the question. Look, India is very concerned. I mean, they've openly spoken about this, as I think it was Senator Haggerty who pointed out just 5 years ago, they were in open conflict. And so while we might have our moment of hiccups right now, we are on the track of resolving that. Our relationship with the Indian government, with the people of India, extends many more decades, and it's a much warmer relationship than they have with the Chinese. Frankly, they are concerned by Chinese expansionism. And Chinese expansionism is not just on the border of India, it's all over the area. And so we share a lot in common, and then we share a lot of the same concerns that other nations in the region do. So should I be confirmed, we will make that a top priority, that India is pulled into our side and away from them.
Mr. Gore, as you know, India is a key partner, and our two countries have many opportunities to strengthen our cooperation on defense, technology, and trade. I really can't add much to what Secretary Rubio said, either about you or about the relationship with India. Both are incredibly important. As partners in the Quad, India and the U.S. play an important role in maintaining a free, peaceful, and prosperous Indo-Pacific. While our relationship has its frictions, we cannot ignore that our countries are strategically aligned on the need to counter China's unfair economic practices and malign influence in the region.
The cleverer people in America clearly understand that a face-off over trade and tariffs goes against both India and America, at a time when China is looking to cement its place in global politics. To counteract Beijing's influence, Washington needs New Delhi. On the other hand, Modi has shown he can work with Xi Jinping to figure a way out of this mess. So what now?
We have seen President Trump and specifically Trump's trade advisor Peter Navarro repeatedly attacking India over the Russian oil purchase and calling the relationship one-sided, using all sort of disrespectful language. So how should this be read in New Delhi and in Washington?
When statements come out, of course, there is going to be a certain sentiment in New Delhi that might, obviously not going to agree with it. They might feel disappointment in the relationship with the United States, but you have to give this time. You have to allow for these things. From a pragmatic diplomatic perspective, you have to allow time, and you have to give a position and space to both sides to kind of move beyond the noise and cut through the noise, because I think the overall health of the relationship matters more. So eventually, all of this will be resolved once the core issues from which these sentiments are stemming could be resolved.